All right, welcome, kings and queens. Are y'all ready for tonight's show? I hope so. I am Queen Sheba. I am the woman behind the face and the voice. Listen, we have some beautiful guests tonight. We have Lunie and Jamala. That's right, here today from Ready to Love, Miami, season 6. And baby, we're not playing no games tonight. We are not holding back. So make sure you have your questions ready. Grab some snacks, grab a cocktail. Because we're going to be talking Ready to Love. But before we do, for those of you who are new to the channel, or just tuning in, I am Queen Sheba. I cover a variety of hot topics specific to reality television. But most importantly, I hone in on the psychological and the behavioral traits of the Black experience. So let's show some love to our guests tonight, Jamala and Lunie. Welcome, ladies.
Hey, thanks for
Yes,
having me.
welcome. No, thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. I am trying to find the right setup to get you ladies some beautiful camera time that looks great. So we're going to get this party started.
Let's.
All right. How are y'all feeling?
Good. Clank, 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 clank. Take a sip.
Right? Cheers, cheers.
Sipping. I ain't sipping tonight, but it's all good. It's all good.
Oh, I got a lot of questions. A lot of people have inboxed me. Family members have texted me, and they want to know the tea. Okay. So we are going to start with, I'm going to start with Lunie. Lunie, how does a beautiful lady like yourself find yourself on a show called Ready to Love? Explain that process.
I mean, I had just kind of sort of left a relationship. I had been roughly about a year, maybe a year and a half. So, I was definitely open to, finding a potential mate. And I felt like the show would make the vetting process just a little easier,
Okay.
So that was the mindset going into the situation, thinking, okay, well, these are going to be, eligible bachelors, so I thought it would be a great thing to be able to meet, men who are actually also very intentional and ready for the same thing, so that we're already aligned in that aspect. So
I like that. But how did you even know that you could go on Ready to Love? Like, how did you even hear about it?
I actually it came up through my agency, and I learned about it, and I was like, okay, I went through the motions, but I didn't really understand what it was, kind of toward until more so towards the end. And then of course going and watching the show once I was cast, because I wasn't familiar with the show. I didn't know what it was about. But once I was cast, then I kind of went back and I looked at the show and I was like, okay, this might be all right.
All right. We're going to spin the block. Jamala, how does a beautiful woman like yourself find yourself on this show called Ready to Love?
Right. So to be honest, I'm a newcomer to the show, and my line sister actually was an avid watcher of the show. So she contacted me like, "You're gonna be perfect for this. I think you'd be perfect for this. You're still single. Like, I know you're dating, but I think you should definitely do this. It's going to be, Black excellence, and you fit right into that, girl." So she told me to do it, and I'm still like, I'm not doing it. And then another line sister came in and they basically encouraged me to do it. So no one necessarily connected to the show gave me an in. I just went ahead and did the application and the interview and went through that. And I was selected off of, that merit, I guess.
As you should be. Yes, girl, you are hot. Both of y'all are beautiful ladies, so you should have been selected. I heard you say line, that you're line sisters. So what did you pledge? I can assume that you are like a Greek.
Correct. From the National Talent Council. So I am a member of, where's the camera? Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated.
Okay, no, that's good. That's good. I'm a Delta. So Jamala, what makes you a good catch?
Ooh, That's a good one. I love this question.
Yeah, we keep it real over here. We keep it real over here. What makes you a good catch? Of all the women that were on the show, why you?
I think all of the women are catching their own efforts, right? In their own greatness. I think specific to me, when I think about being a good catch, I think of being a partner, right? So
Oh,
some characteristics within me, I think I'm a solid partner. I'm transparent and I'm big on holding myself accountable and taking accountability. And then I'm constantly trying to learn how to argue well, is what I say, because I
okay.
think when we talk about relationships, people, it's not all fairy tales and roses and butterflies, right? We know the real. It does take, two people learning each other and colliding these experiences. And sometimes these experiences don't necessarily just mesh into greatness. It sometimes takes colliding. So I think learning to argue well, because you are going to argue, is what makes me a good catch.
I love
And
you. I love that you said that because I've seen a lot of feedback, commentary on social media regarding the way you communicate. And I think people put a lot of pressure on the women to show up as these perfect beings, right? So I love the fact that you called out that you're learning to argue well.
yeah. And the
Yeah.
last thing I'd say about being a good catch is I'm consistently trying to be whole. So transparency moment, I'm always like, I was all before going into the show, I was like, I'm already whole. But what the show taught me was you're consistently evolving to always try to get to that space of being whole. So I think that focus of wanting to be whole and allowing myself to say, iron sharpens iron within a partnership is what makes me a good catch.
Oh, that's beautiful. We're going to transition to Looney because Looney, when I saw your like introduction video, you stood out to me because I felt like you brought a background that you can kind of stand on your own 2 feet with or without a man. You walked in as an entertainer, you're a singer. So based on how you came to the table, set the table, in addition to all of that, right? What makes you a good catch?
Well, I think for me, being wifey material matters, um,
Mhm.
and a lot
Oh,
of,
this
although I'm independent and I don't apologize for that. I do think that it's important to, for a man to also feel just as needed, loved, cared for. So one of the things I think is very different about me is that I'm a nurturer, I'm a pleaser. I literally want to make sure that, if you're my man, you want for nothing as far
Yeah.
as fully satisfied with me and without having to ask. Like I feel like it's important to be able to anticipate needs in a sense.
Oh.
So if you're able to anticipate needs, then you don't, and you're communicating properly with your partner, you know what they need. They've communicated with you, and if they haven't, then that's another, bridge you guys need to kind of cross, and you need to properly communicate so that you can anticipate the needs. If you know him, you should be able to do so, and vice versa. So I think that's important. And then another thing I think that makes me a good catch is loyalty. Like I am severely loyal to a fault. Sometimes I don't know when to get the hell on, but.
Mhm.
Uh, loyalty to a fault. Like I am going to stick it out. I'm going to, do whatever it takes before I decide to walk away from a situation that I've been, committed to or vested in.
That
So
sounds like a Libra. Are you a Libra?
I am a Gemini baby all day,
What?
every day.
What?
I'm the
That's
Libra.
one of my.
Okay, okay. So I was close. We just had to switch seats. Um, Based on what you know now, the outcome that we're not privy to, Looney, do you have any regrets?
You know what? No, I don't. I truly don't have any regrets. I think life is about lessons, and if you're focused on the positive, you don't really worry about the negative. It can bother you from time to time, but I don't focus on it and I don't dwell. So although there may be some crazy edits, and
Yeah.
I not have gotten everything I may have wanted shown on the show, but it is what it is. But I don't necessarily have any regrets. No.
Okay, Jamala. And you better not say no. You better not say no. Okay, because you are getting a lot of flack based on what you know now, based on some of the scenes you've seen, right? If I knew then what I know now. Girl, do you have any regret?
Church to go out of here. Yeah. So for that question, if I knew what I knew, there's a few things, right? So I keep trying to explain to people we see 20% of what's 100% happening, right? So from what you did see, I would say I wish I would have just let things play out from the epic scene of the hat grab and the scrotum. And, I'm in the health field, so I'm using different medical terminology. I wish I would have just been my normal, authentic self and been in a space of just playing it cool and not necessarily playing into a character that I know now they were trying to place me in, right? For a certain narrative, right? I would have been more of doing my own thing and letting the conversation, I'd say, off camera happen versus on camera, because then at that point it's up for public scrutiny, right? And I'm human. My connection is also human. And what you saw was a very human moment, right? When emotions are involved.
Yeah.
And I think that I can't take that away. And do I regret walking into the room? Do I regret the things I said? No. Now, my delivery could have been definitely done in a different manner. So that's the only thing I probably would say I regret. But the words that I said, I absolutely stand by, because at that point in the process, we have to remember, I don't know, again, I'm new to RTL, like 3 connections where they do that at the house.
Yeah.
3. 3. 1, 2, 3. Like, that's a lot for one person to take on, right? And at that time, no firm stance being had at that time, and knowing what I know from what I'm being told off camera, right, from my connection, the expectations were a little bit different. So for me, so that's probably my regret.
I have a question.
Okay.
The tickling of the scrotum. Is that a saying, or is that something that actually happened? No.
So I'm extra. I don't know if, my personality, a lot of the people would say, like, you actually sometimes you'll hear men saying, like, Jamala's really funny. Like, she's really goofy. Like, I don't know when she comes out of that. I think Justice mentioned it too. I don't think they actually played it though. Like, I don't know when she's serious. Like, so when I'm talking, and then my connection knows me enough to know that I'm exaggerating in that moment.
Gotcha.
So what it was is the hand wrapping, just being very, very I think wrapped up in under his leg, under Ra's leg, Kayla under Ra's leg was what it was for me. So I'm like, no, you're not gonna have this going on. So it was me being extra in that moment, but still getting my point across. Like, it's too much at this moment, and I don't see you doing anything about that or thinking of my feelings. And I know actually they don't show it. So right before I walked in, he was asking me, like, are you good? He was mouthing that to me, and I'm like, yeah. Like, doing all of that, but you don't see any of that. And again, you're missing parts of my personality that would make it all make sense for the viewer. But yeah.
Okay, so Lunie, Jamala said something very interesting. She said, this was new for me. I'm actually coming into this looking for love. Do you feel like, based on what you've seen from your experience, are people really looking for love? Or are they looking for fame and a little come up?
I think that people are not necessarily looking for fame, but this is a public platform, its own. So the reality is that, it's going to come with the territory. That's just kind of what it is. That's a reality. So that is something that going into it, I was definitely aware of. And one of the reasons I had my guards up as well, because you don't really know who's actually here to pursue something serious or to, hang out and go through the process. So, that is definitely a fear, but I don't, the cast members on this show, there's some that I feel like, you were definitely just kind of riding the wave. And then others, I do think we're genuinely there.
It's funny that you say process, because halfway or a quarter of the way through the process, you tested positive for COVID. And I believe you had to quarantine away from the cast. Do you feel that may have impacted your ability to deepen your connections?
To be honest, I did at first.
Mm-hmm.
Home, to be honest, because I actually caught COVID right after we all met. So I met everyone one time at the mixer, and then boom, I got COVID the very next day. So
Oh, damn.
I didn't, so I was out for 2 weeks. I think the rest of the cast was out for one. And I thought that, I did think that it was going to hurt my chances at first, but then I realized, I mean, 2 women had, got eliminated before I even made it back. So
oh, wow.
Clearly I made an impact, which, isn't really shown, but it is what it is. I was still there, and I wasn't even present at all. Didn't talk to anybody other than really LJ.
Yeah, because LJ was feeling you, honey. He was missing you.
Yeah.
While you were away.
I talked to Randall while I was.
Baby girl, I got the feeling. You better come on in.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I was still popping, when I wasn't present. My presence still, did its thing while I was gone. So, it didn't really, I don't really think it really hurt me as much as I thought it was going to hurt me. But I will say it did, though. It did. Coming back and then realizing that there were some connections that were already kind of created. It was kind of like, okay. And then I'm just different in that way. Like, I'm just not gonna push a situation. If there's a woman involved and, you're giving that energy, I'm just gonna step back. And that's just kind of how I can handle the situation in a sense.
Well, you came back with a bang. You never missed a beat, honey. Not at all. Smiling.
That's what the people tell me.
Yes, looking good, braids, looking tight, everything. Yeah.
I knew the going on,
Jamala.
It was funny because with the braids, I did that purposely though, because I did want to kind of do something a little different. So I definitely wanted to showcase the braids on the episode because I knew I was probably gonna be the only one too. So
they were cute though. They were really cute. Jamala, I've been asking myself a question since I've watched this show. And the good thing is, yes, I get now I can say it to you. Why, Randall? And let me hold on.
What?
Lord have mercy. Let me tell you why I say that. Randall seems so boring to me. Like, it just seems like long term, any woman would really have to work to keep the communication up. They would have to work to keep a spark. Why Randall? Of all the men, why him?
So I'll say this: why it looks like that, why it translates on the screen like that. And you've probably heard it before from other RTL people if you've ever watched other panels. So you have to remember, it's a 2-hour to a 3-hour date that you see in like 2 to 5 minutes, and 1.5 of those minutes is a walk up, right? Us walking into the restaurant, and they've put all that time that we sit there and we're having so much conversation and it gets deep. It's like cut down to such a small time to fit in an hour show, right? Not including commercials. So the conversations that are that you see, you don't really get to see. You see the kind of the surface level of it. And I think that's something I want Ready to Love, that franchise, to do better, is really show those, not just based on the characters that they want to show, the deep ones, right? But for everyone, there has to have been more conversations going on for those types of individuals, for people to feel the way they feel, right? About the castmates. So from what I know about Rod, that I can let everyone else know, is we actually click on so many different levels. So when I talk about like being aligned, like in my personal journey of what I want my partner to look like and what I think of when I think of a partner, that alignment in, health is wealth. I'm a huge health enthusiast. He's obviously in the health industry. My master's is exercise science and health promotion with a specialization in health promotion. And was pursuing a PhD in health promotion and disease prevention. So Randall is a huge component of that within his sector of his career, right? You don't get to see the depths of Randall and his intelligence level. When I'm watching it comes off like they don't show any of that.
No.
He's a big nerd. And I think actually Trinika mentions it throughout the show, but you don't see that. So I know I'm calling him a nerd, but he's just like a big history buff. That was actually his major, is history and like computer science. I find that stuff intriguing, and I think that level of intelligence, you need to be able to have certain conversations, and he keeps on ticking with it, you know. And I think Looney can attest to it. He's a big people person. Like, he's hilarious. Like, he does keep the conversation coming in. When he comes in, he is kind of like that center. You know, Looney, what would you say? Would you agree? I know I'm not making that. Am I making that up because he's my connection, or?
Randall's lit. Full vibe. And I agree wholeheartedly. They do not show that aspect of who he is. You know, you kind of see this quiet person, kind of reserved, and you know, but he is really, he has a lot to say. He's got a lot of wisdom, you know, and I feel like that aspect is not shown, so you don't really get the full scope of who Randall is, but he is definitely a vibe. I agree.
Yeah. And a big conversationalist. That's the crazy part.
Yeah,
he's a huge conversationalist.
Yeah, he is.
I kind of feel like they never showed him in this breakout role, considering that he's a basketball player and you have to fast break and hit the court hard. None of that was displayed in his personality. And also, like on one of the dates, he said, I wrote it down. He said, I do like Kayla, but I'm invested in Jamala. Jamala, do you think his investment translated well on television?
It does not. Okay. We know that from what we see. And then, of course, obviously the portion of off camera, what's happening off camera with the connections. I know that I'm spending and I'm using my time wisely and being intentional about my time, right? It's limited. At the end of the show, people are supposed to choose each other. You know, we're still in the show, so we don't know where that goes at this point, right? Because we've seen it rocky at a certain point. So it's like the investment that connections are putting in, and I think across the board, can only translate but so much to what everyone sees nationally on this television show. So it's kind of hard, and I don't think it allows an opportunity for us to say it, or because even if we're saying it, you don't know if it's being cut, or they say it. If he's saying it, from what I'm watching, it's always at the end, there's an added portion of, but I do have these other connections, you know, or even when I'm saying it, right? And that's a part of the reality TV, unscripted, but scripted, but not scripted. So it's like, I'm saying this is my main connection, but I know he has other connections. And in reality, I don't have anything to do with those other connections, right? So think of it like that.
Okay, let me ask you ladies this, and Looney, I want you to start. Considering the show, the makeup of the show, the producers, Tommy, Will Packard, do you feel like it's heavily male dominated and not enough women in the mix to balance out some of the men that are being casted for the ladies? Because I feel, in my personal opinion, the past 3 seasons, they've fallen short, in my opinion, based on my observations. They've fallen very short with the selection of men that they've put up against the women. I feel like they were heavily gapped. Based on that, come on, we preaching. Okay, Looney, yes.
Hello.
Yes.
I could not agree more. When I actually, again, I didn't know about the show, but then when I realized what it was and what I was going to be on, I went in and I watched, and I was, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little nervous, like, because I'm like, I don't like, again, everyone has different types, you know, what it is, you gotta give, certain people chances or whatever the case. But with the selection that we had, going into the mixer, me personally, it was just like, okay, all right. I just didn't, I don't know. I'm like, I don't know if the ladies chose this or the men chose them. I'm not sure, but I also feel like maybe it was like a rush kind of situation too. I don't know. But I agree with that. I feel like I don't know if it's necessarily the men that are choosing these particular men, or if it's the women, or if it's Black people or white people. I'm not quite sure. Sure. Because that matters.
Oh, that really matters.
That matters.
That does matter. Jamala, you want to add anything to that?
No, I think she definitely said it all. And from what we know, right, because we're considered in this, we're the cast, right? So from what we know in the process that we do go through, it's a casting department, a production
Mhm.
department, and then editing department. So and these three departments, and I don't know the additionals after that. There's like probably marketing after that, right? Um, I don't know which one, obviously casting chose the cast, right? So I don't know if from the caliber of the individuals that they reached out to versus who
Yeah.
applied, there it's a selection process. So I don't know if that's what from the pool what they thought was the best, or at that time. I couldn't tell you, right? I know we don't choose them.
Correct.
I can
Because
tell you
I
that.
really, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Looney.
No, I just said correct. We do not choose them.
I
Well,
feel like
I'm sorry.
Justin.
I want to give
I
I
feel
want to
like
give you an
Justice.
opportunity.
Go ahead.
I wanted to give you an opportunity to tell me what made you ask that question. You said for the past 3 seasons you feel like
I felt like, okay, let me just start with last season. I felt like some of the men were very disrespectful at the reunion.
Mm.
Okay. Part of our responsibility as human beings is aging well, living well. And yet they attack three women on the show because they aged well. You have 40-year-old women in the process, but yet you refer to them as golden girls. And
Hallelujah.
you're a golden boy.
Mm.
So what's the problem, sir?
That
You know
part.
what? Let me get out of my reviews because that's how I do my show.
That
you
part.
in your soapbox. Sometimes you
Yes.
gotta say.
So that was a problem for me because when did becoming a beautiful Black woman that's middle age 30 or 40, when did that become taboo? Right. So we can pause there. The
Okay.
other thing is, I felt like justice slipped through the cracks, but hold on, because Looney, my viewers ask me to ask Looney, what does she see in justice?
Oh, the dreaded question. The justice question. Uh,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know. I feel like I saw a different side of justice. At the time, I felt like he was what I was hearing from the other women. Like I went into that my very first ladies lounge. I was taken aback, okay, because it was just a lot of negative conversation. I mean, they didn't show the half of the stuff that was said about justice in that first ladies lounge, and I was like, ugh. But I'm listening to everything, and I'm like, that's just not my experience, guys. I don't know what to tell you. And for me,
Yeah.
I wasn't going to just base my feelings and my decision on what other women were experiencing. If I was not experiencing that. To me, it was just like, okay, well, he's not into you. So if
Yeah.
he's not, maybe that's how he's treating you. I don't know, but I'm not getting that particular kind of vibe or feeling from him. We didn't have difficult conversations. We had one difficult conversation on the phone. We kind of got past that, and that was it. I didn't struggle talk to him on the phone or anything like that. So and there's layers to justice.
Yeah.
He has multiple layers. So
Mhm.
Wait
that's
a
what I.
minute. That's good to know. Okay.
And don't trip.
Is that a vibe?
I'm just saying he's hard to look at either. Don't.
It's a very handsome man. Mhm.
Really? I think he knows it. I think he knows it.
Think he knows it. I'm
Yeah.
well aware of all the positives of himself. So
If he knows anything, he knows that.
that boy.
I have a question. It's not about your connections, since we're talking about sexy and good looking. Listen, so this one shocked me. Swayze,
Swayze, sway.
and Cadian. And apparently his background is not really gravitating towards African American women. But I feel like he and Cadian has this sexual chemistry. Like, I feel like they go so well together. Did y'all pick up on that, or am I just
Well, I know for me, I didn't see that. I did not come and caught me all the way off guard. But as time kind of progressed, their bond was definitely real. Got stronger and stronger. I feel like over time, and see them butting heads and things of that nature because they're like that's when you're butting heads like that. You're you're kind of trying to figure things out, it's because they both care. And so that's I feel like there's some real genuine realness going on with Sway and Katie, for sure.
Oh, I agree.
I think they said somebody has an echo. Is it still echo?
Is it me?
Is it me?
I think we're good. I forgot my question. Oh, I know what I'm going to ask.
Oh, another one?
Oh, yeah. So, Jamala, did you pick up on that chemistry between those two?
So I had the pleasure of being around when the spark originally started happening, I would say at the brunch, right? Like, it's not really shown. I think there's a clip. It's so weird. There's a clip during the preview for the episode, but they actually don't show it within the episode where we're talking. And I actually do my Just Jam response on my Instagram page, and I have the pictures of what I saw when I saw it happening. Because I don't think either of them really saw it, off the bat, I'd say. But once it did happen, it was just like, wait a minute, what is this? And Swayze was pursuing. I know a lot of the men do get a bad rap about that, about not pursuing. I saw that from him right there at that moment. Like, he looked at her and he knew what he wanted. And it's something about them where I feel like they're the same person at times.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's why they start to bump heads. And again, when we talk about being human and coming into different experiences, and you have different vulnerability, and you have to be vulnerable, and you have different insecurities and different things that we all have as humans, and learning how to communicate with each other. Yeah. We're watching a real relationship try and play out in this process. Right. I hate this word, right? And we have to see how they interact with other women. It's hard. Like, this is for we do got to be a different breed to go through this. Okay. So I'd say watching them, you can see the magnitude of what's brewing. We just don't know where it's going to go. Is the friction going to be enough? Is the friction too much, or is it going to be, or is what they care about, the emotions they have for each other, enough to keep them solid, and fight through? Because that's what it does take, a fight. Like, being married isn't just easy, or being in a relationship isn't just easy. Friendships come across friction. They're in that budding stage, of where they're trying to figure each other out and how it can work. So you just got to see how that plays out.
I have a really controversial question.
Oh, Lord.
We've come away with maybe one match from Ready to Love from last season. I think that couple is now engaged.
Yes.
All right, y'all ready? And whoever wants to take on this question for y'all, think they should throw some white men in there? Because these brothers, I don't know. I'm just saying. I mean,
I hadn't even thought about that.
That's gonna love you right, treat you right, chase you.
The whole show's concept is about Black love, so I don't think that they would actually necessarily do that for this show. I think it would interrupt the thing. But to your point, that is a good point, though, because I feel like the percentage of Black women who are in successful relationships and all of that are low, but the number heightens in interracial relationships, which is interesting for Black women in particular. So it's like, if you're a Black woman who is only dating Black men, you do limit yourself in life, especially because certain quality Black men aren't checking for the browns and the blacks. So
that's true.
Our pool gets shortened even more when we are only choosing Black men and we're not focusing on any other race. So I don't know. That's a tough one.
Jamala, I threw a monkey wrench out there. Jamala, what do you think?
Right? So to Looney's point, not for this show. I think this show should stay in it's fostering Black love, right? That's important. I think that's imperative within the culture. But now that you've mentioned that, I think it would be interesting to see a show that, based on how demographics are within the city that they're in, let's throw that in the loop, because we know I can name New York, California, and Miami as big melting pots. So if we mixed in, a good selection of each of those different races to see what that looks like and who would kind of work out in the end, that would be interesting to see.
Because I felt like Jamala.
We need to drop that at Will Packers
Yeah.
right at his door.
And if they run it next year, we need a cut. Y'all heard it here first.
Listen.
Yeah, Jamala, I have a question for you. So I don't know if this is true, but what was shown on the show, you picked one man. Now you have free reign. Why zone in on one and not play the field and make it do what it do?
Okay, this is a good question too. So one, I do have more than one connection, right? We just don't see it. And that's because of course, we have to follow the storyline and make it fit into an hour segment, right? So that's one portion of it. I do have more than one connection. It wasn't just all eggs in one basket, but I'll also say, right, there is this process that's happening. And for me, I knew I needed to be intentional. We're aware of the time frame, and at the end, 2 people are supposed to choose each other. So if you're really being intentional, dating 10 people at one time is, I'm going to say, too much for me, right? Even going into the process and being open, it's still a lot to digest, right? So within that, you can meet someone at the mixer and they're like, hey, I'm an atheist. I know already you and I aren't going anywhere. I can X that out, right? So if I'm thinking and being intentional and I don't want to date Tom, Dick, and Harry don't work for me, but I like John Quavius and Bartholomew. Those are the 2 individuals that I'm going to focus on in this time frame and see, not even just based on like what my typical type is, even stepping outside of the range and saying, hey, these 2 individuals, how do we align? Going back to that word, that's my word for the year. How do we align and would we work? And for me, organically, I fell into my one. And I'm going to say organically, my one was also there with other connections that you get to see. But I think it's I hate the word process. Within the process, we're still finding out about each other across the board. We're still all able, and we still all have each other's phone numbers. So it's not like I'm not communicating with other people to see, maybe they can, if we sprinkle this one in the mix, if me and Samson were to sprinkle over here, how would that go, right? But you just don't see it. And again, that portion that happens off camera. So it wasn't all eggs in one basket. I didn't just zone in on one. It's just shown that way.
I swear to God, if you pick Samson and you go back and swing the block, I will fly down to wherever you live and fight you. I will ring your doorbell and hit you on site, because wasn't he hitting on everybody? I would never fight you, but wasn't he like didn't it come out that Samson was like, yeah.
That last episode. Whoosh.
Okay. We're going to leave that there.
I guess he was just laying it on thick with everybody. But, in Samson's defense, he claims that, he tried to make everyone feel special.
Yeah. Imagine that.
Yeah. Every lady wants to feel special. I don't think he's a bad person. I think, I'm just going to leave it. I don't think he's a bad person.
I don't think he's a bad person. But, bro, pick a side.
I was shocked. I'll give you that. I was very shocked listening.
Act like you've been somewhere before. That's it.
It's definitely shocking to kind of hear, but even before then too, just knowing like I felt that at the X date with his ex and Brand and Sharice, like I was shocked that both of them were there, to be honest. So it was just like, whoa, okay, something a little off here. I don't like it. So I kind of felt that then, and kind of back way off. I was kind of backing off way. I knew kind of all over the place.
What are your thoughts now that you say X, Lunie? What are your thoughts when it was revealed that LJ was still sleeping with his ex?
Baby.
Yes.
It was obvious on my face then and now. Okay, like. I didn't understand that. Like I said, I tell everybody, I don't know if they rehearsed this before they came, but baby didn't understand the assignment because she was honest. Was upset to be there, to be honest. Like I felt like she was like, because she definitely is still in love. That we made that clear, and she said that out of her own mouth.
Yes,
they had just had been intimate recently with less than a month.
And he brought her on the show. It's like, dude.
I did know what he was thinking. I know he wanted to kind of give her some shine, let a girl be on the show, shout her out. Oh, I was on a show. I was on. But that also made me feel like there's just this is still a relationship that's ongoing. This is they're both lying to our faces right now.
So, if you were on the outside looking in as a viewer, would you make the assumption that they were still together and maybe not looking for love, but looking for fame, trying to come up?
Baby, I made that decision as a cast member.
Okay.
Not even as an outsider. I was like, everything was going on. Like, no, he knows that though. He knows that was like,
Yeah.
that was not the play.
Yeah. That I kind of felt bad for him.
Yeah. But I mean, he's still in his defense.
Jamala, you didn't. Jamala, yeah, I want to hear this.
Because I'm not going to say everything is black and white, right? I may not understand it, but if we're thinking about the castmates in real world, right? This is a microcosm of what real life dating is like, right? Sometimes you do have somebody that's still trailing, something that you haven't completely cut off just yet. And now because you're part of the show, he's not dating 10, he's just dating 11. He just added an extra secret one, a little ghost dating. You know what I mean? So
you're ready. If you're ready, you're ready. If you're ready, you're not ready. So
it doesn't make him not ready because he's still dating his
yes.
exploring.
That's exactly what it means.
He's still exploring.
If you're coming on this particular show saying that you are ready for love, then clearly the end goal is for you to find love on this particular show. So if you are still entertaining, an ex or still sexually dealing with an ex, and he did say, well, he's moving on this journey, and if he finds something, he prioritizes whatever he's focused on. He did say that, but I just still feel like for this type of a show, if for that to be happening so instantly, like if it was some months ago, maybe, but last month, no.
Yeah.
And I'm just playing devil's advocate. I just throwing it out there because
how long was the process though? How long was the process for y'all? How long were you filming, dating? How long? How many weeks? How many months? Weeks. Okay, and then a month ago he was just with his in the bed.
That's real.
Yeah.
That's real though.
The date was the start of filming that, because we had been filming for 4 weeks at that point. We were towards the end and we had been filming for 4 weeks. So that was the very start. If it was just a month ago, it was the very start of filming.
Yeah.
So no, LJ boo boo, no.
You got the cut him.
Jamala, you seem very patient. So I'm gonna throw out a question. Was there a moment somebody had you effed up on the show?
Ooh,
and if so, who?
I'm gonna say there's moments that happen throughout the show. I'm just somebody who just comes with a lot of couth. So certain things and even working in corporate, you just learn how to you learn how to navigate through tough situations. And I know being on this show, I'm a representation of so many different circles that it would behoove me to continue to stay in the characteristics of who I know I am and how I was raised to be. So I think you have moments where different emotions jump out because, again, we are very much so human beings, and this is an acting situation here. This is our real life playing out in front of you with some twists and turns and editing and etc. So I think, I can say my connections had me. Like I can say the person. I can say like there's a lot of moments where I can say somebody production did. I'm over here looking back at makeup like whoever's in editing, count your days. There's a lot of people across the board that I'm like, wait till I see you. You know what I mean? So I'll just say, with humans, that's what happens with interactions. Everybody's not your cup of tea, and I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and that's okay.
Yeah. What about you, Lunie? Were there any moments where you had to look like, okay, don't play with me?
I ain't gonna lie, and I ain't gonna hold you. I'm gonna keep it all the way funky.
Okay.
Okay, on that picnic date, they had me all the way messed up. Okay.
What happened?
So hot. It was so hot. And so let me explain. So I'm a sweater. Okay. And that's important. Okay. Because when you're a sweater, then you understand where it's coming from. Okay. When we step out in that heat, we get moist. in the face, and that ain't cute when you got that makeup on. You understand what I'm talking about? So
Mm-hmm.
picnic, they had us outside, honey, no shade, no nothing, and they wanted me to play frisbee with Samson. I was like, I would
Melted.
life, okay? I don't want to play frisbee for pretend. I want to play life. So that was probably the time I would say I was like, they had
Yeah.
me effed up. They had me effed up then. But I did it. I was a team player. I held it down and I played the frisbee as you saw. So,
You
that
did good. The food looked good. I actually thought about having a picnic. I was like, you know what? I need to do that. The food looked good, the wine, the champagne, everything.
it
And
Yeah.
that was on Samson, wasn't it?
Yeah,
What?
that was hosted by Samson. It was good overall. Like we had a really good time. It was just so hot. Like I could not take the heat. After that, I was like, no more outside for me. Like that's it. They hit me with one more outside after that too, and it was the
Mm-hmm.
workout. I was like, I don't understand. I feel like somebody trying to set me up. Okay,
Probably.
bad.
Wait a minute. Y'all had to pay for your own dates? Because you said that was on.
No.
Okay. Okay.
We had to pay to get there now, but we didn't have to pay for our own dates. No.
Okay.
But it was like, I know because Samson called me. I remember talking to him that day. He's like, we're gonna have crab legs, we gonna have or something. And I was like, wait, what? He's like, I'm grabbing all this stuff. Was he grabbing it or whatever it was he said? Yeah. So he
all up.
he put in the order. We can put in our order, and that was the order that he put in. So hey, I ain't mad.
Oh, nice. Very nice. Well, he has a good job. Like they say, when your grandma say, now he got a good job now. Doesn't he work for like the FBI or something that he said, or some type of high profile job?
Well, he's
Retired.
Yeah, he's retired now. He used to work for if I'm not mistaken, but he's
Okay.
he does a lot of stocks and he mentors.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And he still does contracting, I believe, for like FEMA and FBI. So
Oh yeah, government.
mhm.
Yeah. Is there anybody that you wish, hindsight, Jamala, looking back, you're like, you know what? I let a good one go. I should have flued him out.
It's too funny. I'm gonna say, life plays out the way it's supposed to.
Keep it real, Jamala.
I'm gonna keep it real. Life played out the way life is supposed to play out. Like what's for me is gonna be for me 100%. I can't look back in a space of regret about anything. And I think sometimes I do live in a space of shoulda, coulda, woulda, and I'm speaking now in current terms because reunion has already passed. You know that. Just if that wasn't tea, there go a little bit of tea for y'all. Sip it good. Like reunion has already been filmed and such like that. So there's things that I wish I could have said and did more of, and I just didn't. So as it pertains to connection, I think I did explore them to the extent of what we are capable of doing, right? And I'm gonna say whoever was pursuing me was pursuing me. You choose people that's choosing you.
But did you let a good one go?
You choose people that's choosing you. I can't say I let anybody
We want to hear it because Randall had 2 or 3, so it's okay for you to get up here and speak your truth. He can call me if he has a problem with that.
I'll say I explored my connections to the extent to which they're explored.
Gotcha.
And yeah, I can't live in that. No.
Lunie, did you let a good one go?
I don't think so either. I do think that for me is for me as well. But I will say, just kind of looking at the amazing, it's public and it's out there, so I'll talk about it. Katie and Sway, just kind of watching their progression and the strength of their relationship. I didn't realize Sway was such a good guy. Like I had no idea. And
he said it, we just didn't believe him.
Definitely said it.
He did say it. When I'm in a relationship, I'm in it.
And it has come, just kind of the small amount that I've seen of him in the budding of their relationship. I'm like, wow, I think Swayze was actually a really good guy.
You know what? I'm glad you said that because I know on Katie and State, or They talked about him liking Latina women. But then I thought about it. It really don't matter because most Black women would overlook him anyway. When we say we want a good man, sometimes seriously, like he would be overlooked.
Yeah.
Now we found something to pick him apart about, but would you choose him? And I'm not talking about looks.
Yeah.
He seemed a little bit reserved initially. You remember you guys were sitting on the sofa. Somebody gave him a hard time about making jokes and he plays too much. So.
You think reserved is from that? He's not reserved. He's very outspoken and goofy.
But reserved in love.
Yeah.
Oh, he said he was scared. He was honest about that.
Yeah.
He's like, love scared me. I think that was one of the funniest things, but it was his truth. And he spoke that wholeheartedly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Cadian made a good pot of neck bones, some cornbread, and he's sold. He came on back to the other side.
Yeah. Well, for her, I'm really oxtail and curry goat. She's Jamaican.
Yeah,
rice and peas. Got him in.
That part.
Yep. I have a question for you, ladies. I wrote it down. Let me make sure it's the right thing. I'm going to give you 3 categories: best friend, sister, girl bi. Name the cast members. She could be my best friend. She could be my sister. Girl bi. You go first, Jamala.
Wait, and we'll get back to this comment. Lizzie Glam 12. I don't know what that
I'll post it.
Okay, I don't know what that is.
Best friend. This person, we could be best friends. We could be sisters. Girl bi.
I'd say best friends would be Brandy. Looney and I probably could be sisters. Who would I say girl bye to? I don't think I care enough about certain, like the girl bye anybody. You know what I mean? Like,
high five.
Okay.
High five.
It's not in my atmosphere, my sphere.
Okay. Looney, best friend, sister, girl bye.
Okay, so Jamala sis, Brandy sis, April is big sis.
Oh, not everybody. I didn't do it right. Sorry.
I'm trying to remember everybody too, because that's the hard part. Trinika would be our best friend. Maybe who else is there?
Instead of girl bye, we can say no comment.
Katie.
Who else is it?
Katie and Cherise.
The best friend. Dominica would be best friend.
Dominica.
Kayla would be.
You can go with no comment or girl bye or sister.
Kayla would be. It depends. Until I don't know. I don't like a lot of the things that I'm seeing that she's doing publicly. So I would probably say no comment right now.
Okay.
The jury's still out. What else? Is that everybody? Did I get everybody?
Can I do a hidden gem?
Yeah, on the men.
Wait. So I'll say on the women. So hidden gem, Sharice is actually really funny.
Oh, shoot.
She's what? She's what?
Really funny.
She is really funny.
Hilarious. I'll give that credit.
She is.
Well, she said she was gonna barbecue. One guy. He got so bothered over the word barbecue. That was funny to me.
It was funny, but for him, he was like, I guess he felt that it was fake because she was still trying to bring that she was interested in trying to get to know him when he knew that her intention was to get rid of him. So maybe that's kind of how he took it. I still don't think.
I thought she was talking about like the car, like the competition of it all. I don't know.
No, she's talking about barbecuing, sending him home. Bye.
Light him up.
Didn't he send another woman home? Did he share that he proposed to a woman and then the next morning when they woke up, he took his ring back? So I mean, barbecue for barbecue.
Ooh, okay, hallelujah.
We all going to the cookout.
That part.
Y'all, we have a lot of fun over here. So, yeah. So oftentimes we see what we see on camera, right? We see you depicted through the lens of the camera. There's a lot of editing. And I believe sometimes the producers and or the film cast can be messy, as we've seen on other reality shows. Yes, they can be, right? And sometimes the way you are depicted isn't necessarily inclusive of who you are as a woman. Can you share with us as viewers, who are you outside of this show?
Go ahead, Jamala.
Um, I'm human. Like I'm a real woman, right? With real emotions and real feelings, and
Yeah.
I'm authentic and genuine in that, right? And it comes across in this across the screen in some spaces, but I think I'm badgered for that, for not doing the process the way everybody wants me to do the process from
Yeah.
what they see, right? And I'm really, I came on the show really looking for love. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's really a problem. Other sides of me, it's actually Raw that constantly mentions like I got a multiple personality. So there's a lot of layers to me. I'm a corporate woman. I'm a business woman. I'm super humble in the same token. I have a huge heart. I'm a Jesus lover. I think Looney and I had
Yeah.
a discussion about like spirituality, but they don't really show much of that. And I know myself. I'm very self aware, so I have a big personality. I could be goofy at the same time. Like I'm a lover. I think when men specifically, since we're in this silo, when men meet me, they see like goofy and also very very corporate on my ish, like has my stuff together, independent, and then when it comes to times to move into a place of being romantic, I'm actually very traditional. Like I enjoy serving my man. I enjoy being a helpmate.
Yeah.
I enjoy cooking for them and falling into traditional roles, but making our own, path for what works for us. So there's a lot you don't get to see, and I'll just say there's so many layers of me, and it's kind of hard to put that all into with 20 other people, Techno 19,
Yeah.
sorry Calvin, we love you. Right, it's hard to see all of that, but I'm a big vibe. Like Looney, you and I hang outside of the show. Did I miss anything? You can say I'm crazy, girl. That's all right.
Wait a minute, Sister Patterson. That was beautiful. We in church right now. That was beautiful. And I know they often don't give the castmates or the cast members an opportunity to really showcase who you are, which is why I asked that question today, so that you can show and share with the viewers. This is who I am. So don't get it twisted. This is who I am.
And
Yeah.
another add that I just want to add on for her is that she's got some bomb lashes and hair. Okay, bundle box one time. Hello.
So tell us a little bit about that. What's going on? It sounds like a business.
It is one of my businesses that I and my younger sister, put together. Basically, we have the bundle box at thebundlebox.co. Shameless plug. Thank you for allowing me to say that. Yeah, and we offer some really nice lashes and different types of different styles. You have, the style of the lashes that are, the big, long, so a lot of people like that. That's a trend right now. We also have like the classic look. And then we also have different types of hair as well. So very nice options that are available on that site. So if anyone is interested, feel free. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to make sure that we highlight who you are inside and outside of the show. And anytime we get a chance to support Black businesses, that's what we're going to do. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
That part. And they
Yeah.
are bomb too. The lashes are bomb. Okay, trust me.
All right, ladies. So it's holiday season. Show up to Thanksgiving looking good. Christmas, open up your Christmas gifts with your lashes on, with your pajamas. So Jamala's got you covered. Looney, who are you outside of the show?
I actually think that the show depicted my personality pretty accurately. I am definitely an aspiring comedian. So I am all about jokes and the funny. And my personality is exactly that. I am goofy as well, but I have layers, So I think that the depiction of me and my personality was good. I'm always smiling, and that's real. Like I am always smiling. Like that's not just for TV. bubbly person. I'm always smiling. And that's definitely about me. I'm still a realtor, South Florida, Broward, and Miami areas.
Yeah.
So definitely slanging these homes. Still, still in music as well. I'm a singer songwriter. So I do that. I rap, I write, I do all things entertainment. So hosting, podcast. I have a podcast called The Hard Truth with me and Ebony, or Eb Body is my co-host. So definitely big things popping over here too. Y'all got to stay tuned and follow me. My realtor page is Lunie the Realtor, and then the regular page is just I Am Lunie Ford. So
You said singer, rapper,
I mean,
writer.
Yeah, a little bit.
Go on, clear your throat because we finna ask for a little sample. Go on, take 2 or 3 seconds. Yeah, so give us a little snippet of something. It ain't gotta be long and drawn out. Just been whatever you want to do.
I don't know. What should I say?
We can count you down. Whatever comes, a cover song, you know.
Ooh. You want to sing happy birthday?
It's so funny when it's almost like things just go right out the head. I'm trying to think of something simple.
Little Patti LaBelle. I don't know.
Patty, was that what was that? Was that shade? Was that shade?
I mean, I don't know your range. You know, we can do Luther. I mean, whatever you.
They call me Patty.
Something, yeah, she missed it. It went over. She missed it.
She missed it.
Oh man.
Give me something easy, y'all. Simple song. I can't think of nothing. I'm literally drawing a full blank right now.
Y'all give her something. Put it in the chat.
Something simple.
Give her a couple of recommendations.
Got to be doing no Whitney out here.
Do Keisha Cole. I should have cheated. First of all, let me say yes. You me of all the things.
Brandy, you are Brandy. You are Brandy.
Hey.
But I'm wise enough to know that you don't fall in love overnight. That's it. I can't get y'all.
Yeah.
Gotta go page back. Take points for that.
Yes, y'all give her a round of applause virtually. Good job. Let's see. What's next? You've been on Ready to Love. You may or may not have a connection. What's next after this? Where do we go from here?
Okay, well, pretty much the sky's the limit from here. I have different options for different things now being sent to me for different casting. So I'll probably still be doing more, commercials and stuff like that. I've been, doing that before. So I'll still keep, doing that kind of stuff. So any other opportunities as far as television is concerned, I'm going to be doing more auditions and stuff like that. Still singing. Hopefully the EP will be out soon. We're working on that. And I'm going to be transitioning into a new career very shortly, inspired by Brandy. So I just started with Delta. So I'll be a flight attendant too, doing that.
Good job.
So how it goes.
Awesome. Speaking of Brandy, I think she's beautiful. I think she has the most beautiful eyes. Just let her know. I think her eyes are so pretty. I think she looks just like her mom.
We'll let the message through.
Yeah. Jamala, where do you go from here? You've got a chance, an opportunity of a lifetime to experience love in the most unorthodox way, right? Mm-hmm. You've lived your life out for judgment, and I feel like you've taken it pretty well. I think you're a classy lady. I think you didn't live for a moment. I think you navigated very well through the moments. So what do you do with that? How do you leverage that?
Ooh, I think gauging the opportunities as they come, right? And really being receptive of what is to come, because we don't know what can come from this show. We've seen in past seasons that a lot of people have developed and moved into different arenas. And, at first I was kind of hesitant, like I didn't necessarily come on the show for all that, but hey, if it's here, having more conversations and being open to that, I see myself, blossoming, right? Because I'm like you said, I'm pretty set in my career, very content and things like that. But, I think overall, I'm just loving life and this new energy that I have that's coming from being able to even grow from watching myself play out on TV, whether it's who I really am or whatever the character. There's still some things I can take from it, and just really walking in purpose in all of my life goals. So I say, stay tuned. Following me on Instagram keeps you the most informed if you want to kind of follow my life and what's happening and how things are developing. I also accepted a seat on a nonprofit, a community-based mental health board. It's called Taino, and it means good people. And the main program is actually Pearls. People, you may have heard of it. So it's a program to enhance active and rewarding life, and it's evidence-based around depression and self-management, and that target audience is underserved adult populations. So I'm really excited about what's to come for that and really giving back within the field that within the health field and how that works for me, and just continuing to enjoy life and truly just, like I said, really look into the opportunities that are coming and being open to that, right? And really continues expanding my entrepreneurial activities. Like we don't really get a chance to really talk about it. So the bundle box is one of them. I also am a super host for Airbnb as well as Turo. So
really what's Turo? What's Turo?
So Turo is a rental car app similar to how Airbnb works. So I have a very small fleet of luxury vehicles that I rent out here in South Florida. So I have these things developing, and I was dabbling actually right before the show in getting a full-on event space. So still looking at moving in that direction. So that may be, what's to come within the South Florida area.
Yeah.
So a lot of different opportunities. Hey, you got a sponsorship or a branding opportunity? I'm with it. Let's look into it.
You are doing amazing things. Like, congratulations, kudos to you. If you ladies don't mind, B. Taylor says, would you do it all over again, Lunie? And if so, how would you do it differently?
That's such a hard question.
Let's start. Would you do it all over again?
I would. Sometimes I say that I wouldn't, but then I when I think about it, I would. I'd do it all over again. I would do it differently though.
Okay.
Knowing what I know now and how everything is kind of set up, the way it's set up, there's certain things I wouldn't have done, and then certain things I probably would have done differently going into it, knowing what I know now.
Jamala, would you do it all over again? And if yes, what would you do differently this time?
I can say my answer is exactly like Lunie. So if I was to say no, because I go through that, I struggle back and forth. So when I say no, I'm always like, look, I could have met all these men on a rooftop in Miami at a party and called it a day. You know what I mean? And explore the options that way. And then when I think back to knowing what I know now, oh yeah, I would do that. And I would make sure I didn't let anybody navigate my narrative. You know what I mean? I would be, I would have that insight information to really explore in a different way so that it could come out to what I would want it to the closest come out to. I don't know how to explain it without saying too much or saying anything about production. So, we have NDAs and things and contracts in place. We can say but so much, y'all. But
yeah. Damian Middleton wants to know, what advice would you give other women who are looking for love? Jamala. And then we'll pass it to Lunie.
That's good. I say stay authentic in who you are, right? Everyone's not gonna like who you are. And again, I like to say, and that's okay. They're not your people. It's important to go where you are most received and not try to sit at tables that aren't meant for you. Dismiss your shape if you find in any space. That's the Jamaican me. Dismiss your ship if you find at any point that this person can accept you where you are and appreciate your want for growth, and hopefully you're in a space of want for growth, and that they're pouring into you. I feel like when we're dating, we try to fit a circle into a square, and when you think about that, you would either have to expand yourself to fit that square or shrink yourself to fit into the square.
Wow.
So know that about yourself and be secure in that. So that's what I would say.
What about you, Lunie?
I agree with Jamala as well. It's important to be your authentic self. I think another really important thing is to realize that there is no such thing as perfection, right? So I feel like we go into these relationships, especially new ones, with a certain expectation of what it is that we're looking for. And that expectation can come from trauma. That expectation can come from the media. That expectation can come from movies that you've seen, because most times in Black households, you don't have a two-parent house, a family that shows you what real love is and what it's supposed to look like. So you kind of depend on things that you have around you, like the movies. That was my case. It was like, wait, you didn't hold a radio outside in the rain for me. Like, you love me. So we kind of use those examples when they're not reality, and we expect unrealistic things from the person that we're with. So I think patience, understanding, and proper communication is key when you are getting to know someone. You have to be able to communicate and stop pretending to be something that you're not, just to have someone like you.
I think y'all are on it. I'm sorry. And you talked about coming from, you talked about parents. I'm going to come back to you, Lunie, with another question that we have. But Jamala, I don't know. And if it's a sensitive subject, please pass. I know your dad was not able to make the date. But do you feel like if your dad had been there, that would have impacted the dynamics between Randall's engagement and or interactions with your family?
That's a good question. My father's a stickler, and things happened with production as to why he wasn't there.
I'm here.
Oh, okay. Why he wasn't there? But I wanted my mom and my sister to be the first line of defense, I'll say, before exploring my father. So I don't know how my father at that point, in this very, like you said, unorthodox, unprecedented way of dating, how he would have reacted. I actually haven't had that discussion with him. That's a good question. Like, the questions that he did provide to my mom, which I didn't know about, which he asked, and you saw some of them, were true to who he was. So I think he was still a representation there, even though he wasn't there. So
I loved it.
How he answered, I think I don't know if my father would like, give me more, or what that mean. My parents are Jamaican, so I couldn't say. That's such a good question. I don't know. I would. My dad's big on discernment. I think I would have gotten some strict clarity right there and then. Like, he would have prayed on it and woke up and told me he had a dream. Like, he would have called me the next day probably and told me he had a dream and this is the way that I need to go. But who knows how that would have affected me at that time.
Lunie, who would you have brought on your family date to meet your connection?
I probably would have brought like my cousins, and maybe my brother.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably what I would have brought. And they would have, I don't know how that would. I don't know if that would have went. They probably would have. Justice would have been the only person probably, or him and LJ, if he was still around, probably would have been the ones to meet. And Samson, I don't know why Samson wasn't there as well on my group when it was LJ and Justice, but I also requested Samson to come and he wasn't there.
They were like, no, Rob, no way.
But yeah, no, my parents wouldn't have been there for sure. No.
Do you ladies feel like you were depicted as you are with the editing? Do you feel like they did a good job of showing you for who you were?
I think so. I don't think, well, yes and no.
Okay, the yes. What if they do a good job of showing who, like, where do you feel like Yeah, that's me.
Well, my personality, that's definitely me.
Okay.
Goofy me, smiling me, my personality is me. So I think they hit that on the head. But I don't the no is in all of the things they didn't show, all of the connections they didn't show, all of the people who were actually interested in pursuing me, they didn't show. So
Oh, okay.
it is what it is.
And I'll split the questions. Jamala, what tools are you walking away with from the show? What have you learned from the show?
Mm.
Um, in your journey to find love that you're now embracing?
There's so much that you pick up after coming out of a situation like this.
Give us your
So
top three.
I'm gonna give you, because I know I'm long-winded. I'm gonna give you the number one that I
Okay.
realized because I came into the show. I remember being on the interviews like I'm whole. I'm a whole person. And even with the meeting the exes, I said what I actually said was for my goal was to, a life goal, an overall life goal is to be whole mentally,
Mhm.
physically, spiritually. Like that's where my goal. But you see, they show me saying I want to build, I want to organize for Randall. Anyway, so for me, that was the biggest lesson that came from that is wholeness is a consistently evolving process. You
Yeah.
don't just show up whole or because you've been doing well in these areas and it's been like copacetic for a moment that you will remain whole. It is constantly evolving and certain parts of you pop up and rear themselves in a way that you think you've resolved,
Yeah.
and the reality of it is it's you never stop evolving, you never stop becoming whole. So that is the number one thing that I pulled away from it because it shocked me, you know even in certain reactions that I had that do play out on the show. So I think that's the number one thing that I took from it was becoming whole is a consistent journey, and I can't necessarily badger myself to get there quicker than my journey is going to take me.
That's so beautiful. I'm really loving this conversation and the positivity and the empowerment that you ladies are bringing to the forefront outside of reality television, right? I think a lot of times we get so caught up in the drama and the narrative, right? That we forget that, God gave you a platform to make an impact and it's your responsibility to choose how you show up,
Yeah.
right? And the drama, it's not sustainable, right? Because eventually that wall crumbles. So you want to make sure that you're building a solid foundation. So
Mhm.
kudos to both of you. And Looney, my final question goes to you. Do you feel like some of the relationships, now that you know what you know, that people may have forced some of the relationships just for the sake of television?
Early on, yes, I do think that there were some forced situations, and then even towards the end, actually, now that I think about it, even towards the end, because they wanted to keep this, the story had to be the story. So, towards the end, you kind of start also have to kind of, fake the funk a little bit just to kind of
Yeah.
keep this kind of story going when you know that that's really where you want to be. Um, so I will say maybe that did occur a couple of times, but overall, in though it's not, I don't think it's possible to keep faking. Like it gets too intense as the weeks progress and time goes on. Off camera activities and time spent, like things get real, and then towards the end you can't really pretend anymore unless you're just a terrible,
Yeah.
and there are terrible people. So
Yeah. I mean, it's life, right?
yeah.
Um, But you ladies, thank you so much. You've done a wonderful job. I really thank you from the bottom of my heart. Like I've been on YouTube for a little bit over 3 months, if that, and this is my first reality interview. So I really want to thank both of you, yes, for giving me an opportunity because a lot of times people won't even talk to you,
Oh yeah.
if you don't have a certain number of subscribers, but they don't know a lot of the talent and passion and gifts behind these pages. So I want to thank both of you for just taking a chance on me and allowing me to interview you. In the compassion and spirit of Black Girl Day Off, Do y'all know about that? I don't know if you know, but I'm the founder of that day. So thank you for coming to celebrate on Black Girl Day off. So it's a
Yeah.
national holiday. Yes. So I get to share a moment with you all. So it's been a pleasure. I would love to have you back if you want to talk about anything outside of the show, anything that you need help promoting. I owe you. I am here for you. A huge salute and thanks to both of you. Anything that you would like to leave with the audience before we close out?
I'll just commend you on doing an awesome job. I think those questions were very well thought out. They knocked me off my rocker. Like, we've been doing interviews, and Looney, I know you've done your exit interview, and I think some of the questions that I heard from you and the thoughts behind that really were very good. They were very nicely put, and I hope the rest of the cast. I hope you get to interview the rest of the cast and serve the same level of I'm gonna say intensity in these questions, right?
Yeah.
You can get to the nitty gritty, right, of how the show plays out and how we are in participating in this. So I think you did an awesome and fabulous job, and thank you. It's my thank you for having us. Thank you for having me, and I'd happily participate in any of the items that you have going on. So keep me in the loop.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Looney, any final words?
I mean, pretty much the same. Definitely. Thank you for having me. Congratulations on, the success of your YouTube channel. Hopefully
Keep going.
yeah, keep it moving. I do agree that these questions were really good questions. We typically get asked kind of the same things. So I'm kind of ready to go with, kind of the answers.
Mhm.
It kind of throw me, for a little loop
Yeah.
with questions. So I did appreciate that, and I enjoyed the conversation as well. So thank you.
Absolutely. And thank you all for tuning in. Until then, we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.